Okay, so we want to start out here by opening up ArcGIS Pro. So I assume you know how to get there. You've had it open already. And for Lab 2, so we're working on Lab 3 this week. And so we'll get ArcGIS Pro opened up here. Okay, so we get to this screen and we're going to start a new map, new project. So we'll click on the new map button here. And I recommend just saving it in the same place you did last time. So I'll go to um, where I saved it. I'm gonna create a new folder here. Call it Lab 3, and again, no spaces, right? We don't want any spaces in the lab or in the folder names or in the file names or anything like that. So we hit OK. So that's where we're going to save this, and I'm going to call it Lab 3. So name is Lab 3. Save it wherever you want to save it, and go ahead and hit OK. And you can already hear my cat wanting attention in the background. He likes that. He's going to be annoying, I can tell. There he is. Okay, so hopefully the meow sounds are not not that annoying. Okay, so it's opening up a new map here. Watch the little circle go around there. Don't look at it too close. You might get hypnotized. Oh, here we go. Loading map. Okay, so depending on how quick your computer is, I'm working on a laptop here. Okay, so you'll get to this point again. This is the kind of default base map and default extent when you open it up here. And so we'll click on the map tab again. So we got our tabs across. This is a ribbon up here, and we got these tabs up here. And the main one that you'll be on is the map tab. And we learned about that last week in the last lab. And we're going to do the locate button again. So we'll click on the little binoculars, the locate button, and the locate pane comes up over here, and we can search in there. And I'm just going to pick a different area this time arbitrarily here. Let's go with Des Moines, Iowa. And so once I click Des Moines, it zooms in to that area. And again, we can change base maps here if we wanted to. Again, my favorite is imagery with labels, but you could change it to whatever you want to. What I'm going to show you right now is, okay, yeah, these, we've got, let's see, what do we have here? We've got a choice of 3x4, so we've got 12 different base maps here, and that come with ArcGIS Pro. Most of you are from Iowa, I think. There may be a few of you that are not. But I'm going to show you something that's available in Iowa for Iowa data sets. And if you're out of state, there's probably something similar. And if you want me to help you at some point locate it, I can. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring in base maps from a server that we can access online, but we don't actually hold the data on our hard drives. So it's a service where an organization has these base maps on their hard drive, and then they offer this service through ArcGIS to bring those maps in. And these maps will give us a lot more options in terms of what we can look at here in Iowa. And so to do that, we need to open up some kind of browser. I'm going to open up Google Chrome here and go to a new tab, go to Google and type in Iowa Geographic Map Server. Okay, Iowa Geographic Map Server inside Google there. Okay, and then they give you a bunch of different links here, and I always confused on, it takes me like 3 or 4 links before I figure out which one I want to go to, and that was not it. Let me just dink around here for a second until I find the one I'm looking for. I should have done that beforehand. Let me click on that. Okay, this is where we want to go. So, so go to, if you didn't get it that way, go to ortho.gis.iastate.edu. So this is the URL up here of the site that you eventually want to get to that looks like this. Okay. So I'll give you kind of a second here. So go ortho.gis.iastate.edu, and you want to get to this page here. Okay, I'll take a drink of my coffee while I'm waiting because some of you might have taken a little bit longer because I wasn't very straightforward on how to get there. So coffee time while you continue to get to this page. Okay, so we're all here now. Then once we're here, we're going to click on WMS directory. So click on that. And here it gives us a bunch of URLs, okay? And this is how we could access each of these layers individually, but I'm going to show you a little trick here on how to bring it in so that we can pull in any of these that we want without having to come back here and get these URLs each time. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our mouse on any of these, it doesn't matter, and the top, I'm just going to go with the top one, and I'm going to start at right before the HTTPS, drag all the way over to the end of ortho. Okay, so I highlighted that amount right there. So that's what I want you to do, is take your mouse, highlight this amount, right click on there, and copy. Okay, so we want to copy. No, don't leave a space in before here, right up at the H, and don't grab that slash thing at the end there. So we're going to go back to ArcGIS Pro once we have that copied, and then we're going to go to catalog. Now you may, from last time, there's a couple different ways. It may be down here for you from last time, so we can click on that, or you can go to the view catalog pane. Okay, but basically we want to get this catalog up over here. Okay, now once we've done that, we want to add in that service. So we go up to the word project here. See where it says catalog and the word project. Right click on the word project. And again, right clicking is your friend in ArcGIS Pro. And we're going to go down to a new ArcGIS server connection. So right click on the word project, go to new ArcGIS server connection, click on that, and it'll bring up this. Now what we want to do is clear out this. So if you can see, it's already highlighted. I'm just going to hit the backspace button. So we don't want anything in here. Okay, we want it to be blank like it is right here. And then you can either right click and paste, or I do Control V. And what we copied to the to the clipboard pops up in there, and then we can hit OK. And if you ever have an issue with this, sometimes their server goes down, but it's a great service and usually working just fine, but occasionally they do have to do some updates and things like that, so the service is down. But okay, so now we say, well, okay, now what? Where is it? So we go over here to servers, click the little triangle, and now we see this ortho on ortho from gisiastate.edu. So we click on that, and now the main one that you're going to use, there's stuff in all of these that you could use, but the main one that I use anyway is this Ortho Photo. So we clicked on servers, Ortho here. So now these are base layers that are specific to Iowa that we can now use in addition to, if I go to the map. So remember, if you like, okay, I know there's a base maps button up here, it's gone. Well, it's because I was on the view tab. So if I go to the map tab, there's the base maps. If I click again, we've got 12 options there. Well, now we have all these options, but they're just for Iowa. So there's a lot of different things in here. There's USGS quad maps. So remember your week 2 written assignment, you were messing around with those. Well, if you wanted to bring that in, you could bring in this here. I'm going to show you, let's bring in the NAIP 2019 natural color map. So I just grabbed it and dragged it. Okay, I just grabbed it here, dragged it onto here, and it's adding it. Okay, it zoomed back out to the entire extent. Um, and that's something that when you bring in a layer, ArcGIS likes to zoom to the extent of that layer. And so um, we can go back to Des Moines or wherever it is you want to go. I'm just going to use the mouse wheel to zoom in here. But I'm going to zoom in close somewhere, let it kind of sit for a second. And so we'll go to this. I'm just arbitrarily zooming in. You can zoom in wherever you want to. Okay, so I'm at this cemetery here, somewhere near Des Moines, in Des Moines, somewhere. Okay, so this is what it looks like in 2019. So why, we've got a up to date. All these dates here are the dates of the aerial photography or ortho photos, and hopefully, so basically, ortho photos are aerial images that have been corrected so that all the distortion is taken out of them. So if you have if you just took an aerial photograph and scanned it in and tried to bring it into GIS, it would have all sorts of camera distortions and landscape distortions. Well, an ortho photo is an aerial photograph that has all those distortions, camera and topography and all that stuff taken out. It's distortion free. So if you had the option, you would always choose ortho photo over just a regular aerial photograph. Kind of other neat layers in here. You can go, I use this a lot for my business. So let's say I wanted to know what this particular area looked like in 1930. I can go to Ortho 1930, drag that over, and it should pop up here in a second. So we can see it was a lot more rural at that time. The cemetery was there, it looks like. I can turn them off and on over here. So kind of take a little bit of time here. I'll push pause on my video. You can look through here, kind of get familiar with one of the, or some of the data sets that are added here, and kind of your additional base maps that you could potentially use for any kind of project that you're working on. But I'll hit pause for a second. Okay, I'm back. I just did pause on my recording, which also gave you the opportunity to hit pause and to look through these here. So hopefully you hit pause and at this point and have kind of looked through some of these different layers here. So at this point, I already want you to turn in a map showing me that you have connected to this server and you have brought in at least one of these layers. So again, you'll go to the insert and a new layout and 8.5 by 11, and it'll pop up here in a second. There it is. And then insert map frame. And you can bring that in. One thing I wanted to tell you last time that I didn't tell you, and some of you may have realized this as you were making your maps, is that if you want to, the activation button helps you to kind of zoom. Like right now I'm using my mouse wheel and it's just zooming in on the layout page. Maybe I want to zoom in on here. Well, to do that, I have to activate this layout. So what I do is I right click and let's see, do I want to right click there or on here? Yeah, sorry. So I was right clicking down here off the actual map, but you want to inside this map frame area, you want to right click there and go to activate. Okay. Then when you activate, now when I use the mouse wheel, I can zoom in and zoom out on the actual map. Now let's say I got here and I'm like, oh, I just want the cemetery. I'm cool with this. I can right click and what did I do there? Well, I guess you can't. Right click is your friend sometimes. But if I want to unactivate this now, I can go back. I can go up here to the. I thought I could right click again and unactivate. Apparently not. Again, I'm still learning this software too. So again, ArcGIS Desktop, I was 20 years of that. Now they're switching over to this. So I don't know every little thing either, including, I guess I just learned now that you can't right click and unactivate. So what you can do is go up to the Layout tab. So up here, Layout, Close Activation. And now if I go back here, again, when I'm zooming in and out, it's zooming in and out on the actual layout, not the map. Okay, so what I want you to do then for your first thing to turn in is show me that you have connected to this ArcGIS server and that you brought in some sort of map. So give me a map that shows one of these layers in some area. It doesn't have to be Des Moines, doesn't have to be the cemetery. It can be anywhere you want, and any layer over here that you want. But make sure that you pick one of these to pop up here on your map. It could be this one or the 1930s, or any of these. So, and then of course, just to get used to it, click back on the Insert tab, put in your relevant information here, north arrow, scale, title kind of thing. And then if you remember, you go to the Share button and export layout and export it as either a PDF or a JPEG. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to do. And then we will now work on the second thing. So again, the first thing you're going to turn in is a map here, export it as a PDF or JPEG, showing me that you've connected to this server and that you brought in some additional maps for Iowa here. And it can be any area of interest that you're excited about, or just if you don't live in Iowa, you'll just have to arbitrarily pick some place, or if you know some place in Iowa that you're interested in. But I can help you also finding these sites in your state. If you're not from Iowa, just email me and let me know. Okay, so let's go back to map. And now we're going to bring in some data that we're going to get from a different location. So somebody else's art. Last week we created a shapefile. You created, maybe a point in a polygon shapefile or whatever it might have been. But this time we're going to bring in a layer that somebody else has created. So let's go back to your favorite browser here and go to Google again and go to Iowa Geodata. Iowa Geodata as a Google search. And it should be this top one that pops up, geodata.iowa.gov. And a lot of times, so again, if you're not from Iowa, a lot of times your natural resources, your DNR, will have these types of data sets. So we're going to click on data sets here. And it's broken down by categories over here, but you can also search. Let's put in river and hit search. Okay, we have flood risk areas, county boundaries of Iowa, source protection water, watershed boundary data set, major water sources in Iowa, landforms of Iowa. We can learn a little bit more about them here. The major water sources list was created by the Iowa DNR to address concerns, blah, 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 blah. Let's download this one. So you can see SHP means it's the shape file. Click on that and it brings us here. And now we can download a zip layer. So a lot of times GIS, you will send it to somebody zipped, and you probably heard this term before, compressed. So remember last time I talked about how you need the .shp, the .shx, the .dbf, and then optional files like the .prj. What you do is you take those files and you right click, you select them all and you right click and say send to compressed folder or send to zipped folder, and then you attach that zipped folder to an email or whoever you're going to send it to so that they can just uncompress it when they get it. So let's click on the download button here. And it says it has two shape files. One is for lakes and one is for rivers. Okay, so mine has popped up down here. Now, depending on what browser you're using, this is going to be completely different. But I'm going to right click there and show in folder. And once I found it here, I'm going to right click, copy, and then go to my C, Chad's GIS Lab 3, and I'm going to paste it in here. Okay, so again, depending on your browser and some of you are using Macs too, but basically you want to get this downloaded. Right now you can see that it's zipped, compressed. We want to double click on it and see how it has the shapefile. Now when you're thinking about sending something, it's this shapefile that you want, not this XML document, which contains the metadata and stuff like that. Metadata is data about data, and it's useful information we'll talk about more later in the class that tells the user, information about the data set and who it was collected by, that sort of thing. Sorry, I had to get a little sip of coffee there. So what we're going to do is, they included the optional files, which is fine. So we're going to select all of these like that, and I held down the shift key and then clicked on that. But basically get all of these, go copy, then go back up here and go paste. So we want to basically copy these out of the zipped file into just a regular folder. Okay, so we double clicked here, we selected all of these. So I left click there, hold down the shift key, left click again, right click, copy, go here, paste, just right click and paste, and here they are. So now when we go back to ArcGIS Pro, and I'm going to go to the catalog here again, and I'm going to go up and close all this stuff. Now when I go to folders, so again I'm on the catalog pane. You can get there by going view catalog pane or select it down here. Go to folders, Lab 3. Now you don't see it here. Sometimes you have to see. Do we need to? Sometimes you have to refresh. And I thought again, oh, there it is. I knew it was. So if you right click, I knew it was there. I just wasn't seeing it the first time. Right click on the Lab 3 folder, whatever folder you call it, and hit refresh. Why is it not? Just a second here. Okay, I think I know what's going on here. Okay, so if we go to Windows Explorer, I'm going to get that back open here. And you see how I have, when it creates a project, it creates a new folder called Lab 3. And so right now when I'm over here going refresh on this, it's just showing me what's inside this Lab 3 folder right here, which are shapefiles that we just downloaded are not in there. And so that's why it was not showing up here. So in order to show up here, I have to go here, add folder connection. So right click on folders, add folder connection, go to C, Chad's GIS, Lab 3. So I'm going to click on this Lab 3 folder, hit OK. Now, there they are. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you. So, so you can connect to folders by right clicking here, add folder connection. So now we have a green line water source streams and a green polygon, which means these are shape files. So I'm going to drag both of them, that one first, and you see it lined up over here, and this one second, and it came into the table of contents. Now I'm going to turn these off, and I'm going to right click on this one on lakes and zoom to layer. So now we still have our base map on. I'm going to turn that off. And so we can see our rivers and lakes here. So this is a way of getting data from somewhere else, downloading it, unzipping it, and bringing it into ArcGIS. Now, another way I could have done it was to go to the Map tab, click on Add Data, navigate to my folder that I saved it in, and add it that way. But what I was doing earlier, you do have, if you just downloaded something and you don't see it, sometimes you have to hit this refresh button. See, I was doing it here earlier, which is what I thought was my issue. Or you can right click here and refresh, and then sometimes they'll pop up if you don't see them right away. So we can now see that we have rivers and lakes. I'm going to kind of zoom in here where we've got both, and turn one of these back on. And so this is now a polygon feature. This is a shapefile. So I can use this. This is basically, they used to have an ID tool in ArcMap where you could click on features to learn about them. The ID tool is gone, but when you take your mouse with the finger pointer there and click on something, it automatically uses the ID tool. So it sometimes takes a while, depending on your computer speed, to process the results, but we're going to learn more about that feature here in a second. So again, it's going to take a second here. Okay, so when I clicked on that feature, this brings up the attribute table. So the person that created this, remember how last time we created our own shapefile, it created a feature ID. So that's just something that was automatically created. But it looks like they created additional fields called lake name, alternate name, county, owner, that sort of thing. And this is where metadata comes in handy because, so again, that's data about data, and it usually comes with the data sets to help you know what these fields stand for and that sort of thing. These are pretty straightforward, I think, most of them. But so we click out of that. If I wanted to see that again, I could right click on here, or if I want to see the table, that is, right click, go to attribute table, and the table opens up like last time and gives me a list of all the lakes and that sort of things. So that sort of thing there. Okay, so let's see. There's that one, and then if we wanted to change the symbology, we could click on the symbol itself. So click there, right on this symbol over here in the contents, and it brings up symbology. So here we can change. Here are some ones that they, that kind of preset ones. We could find this water one maybe. But if you don't like that, you can click on properties here and change specific things like color. Maybe we like big sky blue, whatever it might be. We can give it an outline. And then once you like what you have here, you hit apply. And so here's how you can kind of change the symbology. Now, when it brought in the streams, I'm going to kind of zoom over here. It brought those in, on mine anyway, as kind of this peach color. So I'm going to click on the rivers and change it to more of a blue color, whatever, give it a 2-point thickness, hit apply. And so there's how you can change symbology. So again, you either have a gallery over here, depending on whether it's lines or polygons, of ones that they kind of recommend. Here's a water line, those sorts of things. Or you can just change the individual properties themselves if you have something in mind. Okay, so now again, I want you to create another map. So it doesn't have to be lakes and polygons, but insert another layout or however you want to do it, and show me that you've downloaded one of these layers from Iowa Geodata and you've uncompressed it and brought it in, and give me a title in North Arrow scale with one of these layers on it, so I can see that you downloaded one of the layers. So that'll be the second thing that you'll want to upload, is a map showing me that you've downloaded one of these GIS layers from the Iowa Geodata site.